Today is patch day, and I finally get to talk about my favorite weapon, the SG553. As you guys know, I'm a certified disliker of this weapon, and for a good reason. It is not that good. It is a good gun. I've sort of used it enough to appreciate what it can do, but there are better weapons in the game, and this is by far not the #1 weapon in the game that everyone's saying it is, especially after today. This gun got hit the hardest out of every single gun. Everything really feels exactly the same except for this gun, because it got hit the hardest out of all the other guns, like the NVO, the SOR 300 SC, M250, and there's one more gun. I'm not remembering it, but it's on the screen for you guys. So I don't want to start the video off in a negative way, because I know there's a lot of people that actually like this gun and think it's the best gun in the game. So I want to go through the list of things that I actually like about it and what are actually like some good qualities that it has. This gun has a very good fire rate. It's moderately fast. It's not like the craziest fire rate in the game. Its muzzle velocity isn't too bad, though. If they are beyond 20 meters, you do have to lead your shots if they are running across your screen. Repatch, there wasn't much bloom on it, so shots at distance really weren't that bad. It was pretty tolerable to do. And you know what really made this gun good, even though you were doing 17 damage a shot at that distance, is the fact that it had virtually no bloom, because they didn't know how to adjust it properly. Now that they have adjusted it properly, I'm noticing a lot more bloom when shooting at someone 20 meters plus. This weapon's sweet spot obviously is before 10 meters and closer. Like, it's like 9.5 and closer, because that's when you get your 3-shot ability. And I've noticed using this gun, most of the time, unless I'm within panic knife distance, I usually never end up actually utilizing the 3-shot capabilities of the gun. I more so end up using the 4-shot. And what makes it tolerable in that sense is its fire rate. It has the fire rate is so good. The ROF on this gun just makes it feel so good at times that it does beat out a lot of other guns. But when you're within the 4-shot range, there are some guns that end up competing with it, like the M433 and the B36. From experience, this is all from experience, like in-game playing. I have beaten this gun out 9 times out of 10 with a B36 and an M433 at 20 meters and farther. And the only time I'll beat someone with the SG553 at like a good distance is when the other player is actually just like bad at the game, and that's fine, because sometimes you need to get lucky like that. But to go off of a couple of things that I don't really like about it, it is the 33 damage range that you get when you're within 9 meters and closer, or 10.5 or 9.5 meters and closer. You rarely use this with this gun unless you're playing Siege of Cairo or any map that requires you to be in buildings like New Sobek City or anything like that. But at that point, it's just better to use a shotgun. You're essentially running around with a full auto shotgun that has just, you know, multiple uses. Obviously, this being a far ranged carbine that is viable at all distances, but as you guys literally see right there, it isn't killing them fast enough. And if I had another gun, they would have died, and I probably would have been able to lay down right there and reload without, you know, taking the fall. I don't want to say and beyond, because I'm pretty sure it drops down to 14 damage after after like 70 meters, but at 40 meters, that's when you start to do 17 damage a shot. So you have worse accuracy than an SMG and the same amount of damage as some of the SMGs at 40 meters plus. So you're going to get beat by a lot of SMGs and a lot of LMGs beyond 40 meters. While I was testing this and playing with this all night, and the gameplay you're seeing right now, I'm like, this is like live, and this is the new patch. I'm just not playing on the snow map because I got so frustrated at that. It's it honestly is really nice. I just hate the added effect of if you're frozen or too cold, you don't actually heal. So I just refuse to play on that. But honestly, the changes, you notice them, but the difference in the recoil pattern and everything like that, whatever they chose to speak on and fix or change, you don't really notice the recoil that much unless you are running this gun without a grip. But I don't know why you would in the first place. I don't really notice it at all. The thing I do notice is that there is more bloom. That is it. I notice a slight more amount of bloom, especially at range. So like around the 25 to 30 meter range, that's when the extra bloom is noticeable. It really forces you to take more favorable gunfights and actually think about the situations, which honestly just makes this gun not as good in my opinion. Like, I would probably put this gun right around where the L85 would be, since they both are the same in that aspect where you have to really think about what you're doing now because of how they changed the gun. This definitely isn't a gun where you can kind of turn off your brain anymore like it was before. And the reason why I compared it to the L85 is because the L85 is a super consistent gun. It's not that good, and you kind of have to focus on your playstyle and what you're doing in order to actually get a lot of kills with the L85 and not die a lot. And that's something I'm noticing with this gun more and more. Especially right now, because there are a lot of cuts. There are a lot of cuts in this video, which means there's a lot of times where I'm not talking because I need to actually think about what I'm doing. For like the best gun in the game, that's usually not the case. The best gun in the game you can usually use in any scenario and really don't have to think. And here we go with more kills not happening because the gun's just not the best. And obviously taking into account ROF, so within the 4-shot damage range that this gun has, ROF, any gun that has around the same ROF or higher damage and lower ROF will beat out the SG553 in its 4-shot damage range, which is very small. It's only 10 to 20 meters where it becomes a 4-shot kill, as opposed to other guns that have a 4-shot kill up until 50 to 60 meters. Most ARs, by the way. Obviously, most ARs have a slower ROF, but there are a few that stand out that have way more and just feel good, which I'll throw those up on the screen as well. Those are pretty good counterparts. Instead of using this gun, I would recommend using those because they're more applicable to way more situations in the game, as opposed to using a niche gun like this that's really only applicable to like 2 different situations throughout games, or even honestly 2 maps in the entire game. I mean, again, Empire State, not this map, not Manhattan Bridge, but Empire State is a very good map for this gun as well. It thrives on it because of how close you are 90% of the time. And dealing with shotguns, it helps to have a gun that is optimal in 2 to 3 different ranges, but mainly 2. Another thing is past 30 meters, because of the bloom on the gun, you end up wasting more ammo to get the kill than you would. I tend to end up having to shoot 20 to 25 bullets just to kill someone after 30 meters. I tend to notice that I am reloading a lot more while I use this gun than opposed to other guns, especially from 31 rounds all the way down. It is a little interesting to see, and it does suck because there's times where you can definitely win a gunfight and then the bloom starts to kick in and you start to lose. And to be honest with you, I don't think carbines should be tap fire weapons, because most of the time, the only carbine that I ever tap fire in this game is the M277, or whatever you want to call it, the M7. That is like one of the only guns that I actually have to tap fire in this game, aside from some ARs, but usually I end up just tap firing the M277. So for a carbine to necessarily need to be tap fired now, especially with bloom and beyond 40 meters, only doing 17 damage. Actually, I think it's beyond 30 meters. So 35 to 40 meters, this gun is going to do 17 damage. And now you sort of need to tap fire at that range, which that was the range right there. That was 55 meters and I needed to tap fire there. You're not getting that kill anymore. That guy's running away from you. Prior to the patch, yeah, you could probably get that kill, no problem. But now it's not going to happen. And that's what sucks about this gun. And that's like something that I really don't like. I don't know why I'm trying to persuade people away from this gun, because obviously it's good if you use it against me because it's that bad. I'll probably never lose a gunfight to it. But at the same time, you're putting yourself in a disadvantage, especially as if you're a beginner player or a newer player. Not beginner, but like, you know, intermediate. And you're watching these other YouTubers say the SG553 is the best gun in the game, or it's really good, and here's why you should use it. I'm on the other side of that coin. I'm here to tell you why you shouldn't use it, because there are a lot of better guns in the game that you can benefit from, especially if you're not that good at the game. I just killed a bot. I don't know why there's a bot in this lobby, but whatever. And that's just because I've used every gun in the game. I've played against every gun in the game. And the only time I ever see myself dying to the SG553 is when they're fighting me within 10 meters. Other than that, I feel like I never die to the SG553. So I really don't recommend it. And obviously, I wanted to play with this gun. I wanted to make sure that I understood the gun and really gave it a chance, which, I mean, I've already mastered every single weapon in the game. Level wise, I have every gun to level 50. If you guys don't know who I am, the last couple of months, I've been spending my time mastering every single gun in the game, as in the last 2 months. And now I'm just voicing my opinions on guns that are a little too chosen out of the rest. And to be honest, I've used it enough to actually feel like I've formulated a pretty good opinion on it. And it is not the best gun in the game, nor is it anywhere near it. And that's because of all the things that I've already listed. Especially another thing, when you're fighting someone very deep, not only do you have to lead your shots in this game with most of the ARs, carbines, SMGs, and LMGs, but now you're taking into account bloom, and at specific damage ranges, like right here at 47 meters, I can't kill that guy. He will always make it behind cover. And there is another gun in the game that struggles with something similar to that, and that is the AK-205. Except the AK-205 has the benefit of no bloom and hardly any recoil, and it's actually an extremely effective weapon sometimes, depending on the area in which you're using it. And to be quite honest, at range, because of the fire rate on the AK-205, if you're within that 17-meter range and you're using the AK-205 against an SG-553, that AK-205 will beat the SG-553, which is insane to think about. After 40 meters, the AK-205 will beat this gun. And I never thought I'd be saying that, but it is true. But that's only in one area of the AK-205. That doesn't mean the AK-205 is better than this gun, because it's not. Unfortunately, as awesome as it is and as cool of a concept as it is one of the worst guns in the game, but that doesn't mean it is bad. Nor does it mean that the SG-553 is bad, because it's very inconsistent when it comes to all of its damage range variations, right? This doesn't mean that it's a bad gun. Everything that I've listed below does not mean that I even hate the gun anymore. I actually came to appreciate the gun for what it is. It's just you miss out on a lot more engagements than you would if you were just using a better weapon in the game, like an M277, the M4A1, though the M4A1 kind of is... the M4A1's kind of bad. Now, it's really good close because it's fire rate, but it does 5 to 6 shots relatively early on in its damage range. You could even use the M417 and the QBZ. Two guns right here that are a lot more consistent. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4 other carbines that will end up doing better than the SG-553 in almost every single scenario, except for within 10 meters. And closer. That is the only saving grace of this weapon. And when you highlight the weapon like that and really pay attention to how it is, you hopefully you guys understand where I'm coming from, because I understand what this weapon is now, and it really makes me feel like I'm at a disadvantage even when I'm technically not, and my RPG is flying through this tank right now. Okay, 3 RPG shots on that tank and I didn't kill him or hit him at all. Interesting. But yeah, I feel like I gave you guys some pretty solid points. If you still disagree, feel free to leave a comment down below to ask some questions if you're curious about something, why I picked specific guns that I did. And yeah, if you're not a carbine player, obviously use the B36, use the M433, try out the AK-4D, and then just keep using your TR7s. Other than that, I appreciate you guys watching the video, and yeah, that's the SG-553. Goodbye.